Hey, what's going on, guys? Flip Otaku, and today I'm doing my first video game review for the channel, and I'm talking about Devil May Cry 5. I literally just watched the credits roll, and I gotta get my thoughts out there. This is one of the best games of this console generation, period. Right now I'm watching RPG Division's Dante combo video to try to learn how to do more killer combos, but man, what a ride this game was. Devil May Cry, the series as a whole, is one of the most important video games in my life. Like, one of the most important franchises to me personally. I remember being a little kid and being in the video store, and while my parents were looking for a movie, I was browsing the video games. And I was walking in, I remember seeing this cover of Dante looking all badass, and at the time I didn't know who it was, and the name Devil May Cry, and at the time I was getting into heavy metal, so the name Devil May Cry really was like, oh dude, that sounds badass. And my mom said no to letting me get it. She didn't like the fact that there was the word devil in it, and it took some time for me to convince my mom to let me get it. So she finally lets me rent it, and in 3 days, I just plowed through the game, and I remember being scared because I was pretty young when the game came out. I remember feeling scared because it was kind of a horror vibe. I don't know if you guys know this, but the original Devil May Cry was supposed to be a Resident Evil spinoff, and it kind of turned into its own thing. But the original Devil May Cry wasn't all this crazy action. It was more narrative focused and more focused on, like, you could tell that it was based off of Resident Evil. And then I've played and beaten every game in the franchise since 2, 3, 4, DMC, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. But man, this game. So first off, you don't go into Devil May Cry games for the story. So if you want like a really phenomenal story, you're not going to get a phenomenal story, but you're going to get a great Devil May Cry story here. So if you know what that means, you know what you're going to get. But Devil May Cry is all about the humor, about the action, and about the over-the-topness, and this game has it in spades. So you do play as 3 characters, and in previous Devil May Cries, they've had a problem where if multiple characters were in the game, you kind of recycled bosses. That's not the problem here. Each character faces a boss that is unique to them, and each of them play very differently. You have Nero, who actually has his arm lost, and he has the Devil Breaker. And there's different Devil Breakers that you can get and they each do different things. My favorite was one that kind of like throws the arm out and it becomes like a homing rocket. But if you call it back and at the last second before it reattaches, you press the Devil Breaker button again, you actually ride the arm and you can do tricks and combos while you're riding the arm. So that's the kind of game that we're getting into here. V doesn't actually attack himself. He has these demons that he can summon. One's a crow and it's like your gun. One is a panther and it's like your melee weapon. And then one is this giant golem that you can summon down and get on top of. But in order to kill an enemy, you actually have to go and stab it. And now Dante is the most diverse of the bunch of the characters. He has four different stances, and each stance does something different with each weapon. I believe there are 5 guns, maybe 5 melee weapons too. One of the melee weapons is a fucking motorcycle that gets split into 2, and he can dual wield and pummel. He can combine the 2, ride the motorcycle, do combos with the motorcycle. Just it's a Devil May Cry Devil May Cry game, and it's everything that I could have hoped for in a Devil May Cry game. I had a blast. I've never sat in the last couple months. There hasn't been a game where I've sat down and realized I played 8 hours straight. But that's what I did with this game. I beat this game in 3 sessions. It's not an incredibly long game. You can probably beat it in about 25-ish hours. But there is some replayability. The hardest difficulty doesn't unlock until you beat the game. And then some stuff doesn't unlock till the very end. So when your next playthrough happens, you have some new abilities and some new weapons. Because you get, spoilers, you get a rocket launcher from Lady, and you get that at the very end. And it's got a couple upgrades to it. And that's the another thing. The upgrade system is pretty in depth. It's not as crazy, I believe, as 4, but it does have a lot of depth to it, especially Dante. Um, and the game is very generous with orbs. So you use the red orbs to upgrade your weapons and your moves and your skills. The game allows you to purchase orbs, and when I first heard that, I was a little upset. But the game is pretty generous with them. I never felt like I wasn't getting enough to upgrade, and I had enough to upgrade each character pretty potently. So if you do want to focus on one, I would highly suggest focusing on Dante. He's more my play style. Um, there's a really awesome moment with a hat. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it. It's been memed to death. But yeah, sorry if I'm just rambling. I just want to get my thoughts out about this game because I think it is phenomenal. This console generation has been lacking in like stellar games, and franchises that I have loved in the past weren't as strong this console generation, like Gears of War and Halo 5. But man, when I saw the director of this game come out in the Xbox E3 press conference that year, I believe 2 years ago it was announced, I was ecstatic. And I kind of went media blackout about this game until a week up to its launch. I had completely forgot about it, honestly, because, life, kid, work, wife. But this was such a treat. This wasn't a 100+ hour JRPG, which I love. This wasn't a huge open world with a anxiety inducing amount of stuff to do in it. This was a very cohesive, concise, and challenging game. It's not incredibly hard, but I kept pushing myself to do cooler combos. I wanted to get that triple S. I wanted to get that S. I wanted to get that double S, and then that super sexy style, I believe is what they call it. Also, another highlight of the game is the soundtrack is phenomenal. There's some metal vocals. I believe Suicide Silence did a song. I believe it was Dante's theme, but they changed the vocalist because of some controversy around the Suicide Silence vocalist. The main theme, Devil Trigger, is one of my favorite songs this year, and it's so stupid and cheesy, but I absolutely love it. And every time that dun 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 came on, I was like, fuck yeah. This game is like 13-year-old Flip Otaku in a nutshell. It's over the top. There's a lot of fuck yous. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of action. It's an anime-ass game, and I absolutely highly recommend it to all of you. If I had to give the score out of 10, I'd give it a 9. This is one of the best character action games out there. And there's not a lot of competition. God of War went into that cinematic place. The last one that I believe was even remotely this, combo driven and complex was Bayonetta 2. Platinum Games is, working on 3, so hopefully we see. Hopefully it's a step up from this, because this is a pretty high bar to set. If I did have to say one negative about this game is that the landscapes do get kind of boring after a while. But honestly, the graphics are phenomenal. The detail in the environments, the creatures. Oh my god, the creatures! They brought back some of the creatures from Devil May Cry 1, and I was so happy to see them. There are some creatures from Devil May Cry 4 too, and some new ones in there. And the boss battles were phenomenal. I had a lot of fun with them. Especially the last 2 hours are, man, some of the stuff that gets revealed in the last 2 hours, some of the stuff that happens, some of the stuff that has been said. The best fuck you in a video game ever happens at the end of this game, and I was so happy to see it. I literally stood up and was like, yeah. Even though it's like 3 a.m. here, I was pretty happy. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. This game, you need to go play it. You need to experience Devil May Cry 5. If you are a fan of this, if you're not, and you already know that you're not going to like this isn't going to change your mind, but if you are a fan of this style of game, you're going to absolutely love it. It knocked it out of the park. And man, Capcom's back, baby. Monster Hunter World, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, now this, and I just started playing Mega Man 11, and man, I cannot wait to see what Capcom does next. I'm hoping for a Beautiful Joe reboot, maybe a Lost Planet reboot. Capcom is one of my favorite game developers ever, And after beating this, I just had a smile. I still have a smile on my face. I was just grinning ear to ear. This was a lot of fun. Go pick it up. And guys, if this is something you want to see more of, if you want to see me do more game reviews, game first impressions, let me know in the comments down below. I hit 666 subscribers today, and I beat Devil May Cry today. Whoa! Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.